This woman has been reborn 7 times, and every single time, she never made it past 5 years old, until her 7th life. This time, the very prince who killed her in her previous life suddenly proposed to her. Faced with this unexpected proposal, Lisha turned him down on the spot. The blonde prince could hardly believe it. A woman he never even bothered to notice, somehow getting proposed to by the crown prince of the strongest empire. Right then, a carriage came flying toward them. It was the king of their country. He pushed the blonde prince to the ground and ordered him to apologize for his rude behavior. Then he politely begged Lisha to at least consider the crown prince's proposal. Hein asked the king to give them some time alone. With no way to escape, Lisha reluctantly agreed. She knew there was no avoiding this, so she laid out a few conditions for the marriage. She wanted a place where she could meet nobles and guests from every nation. She refused to live with the emperor, and she planned to live a completely carefree, do-nothing life inside the palace. And with that, Lisha and Hein set off together for the Galkan Empire. During the journey, the two kept their distance. Sometimes Lisha would stop by the roadside to gather herbs. Sometimes she'd even use Hein's sword as a pillow. When Hein reached out his hand, Lisha immediately knew he just wanted his sword back. It turned out Hein had already contacted the merchant guild she requested. It was the same guild she met in her very first life. She wanted to reconnect with them as soon as possible. Hein granted every request she made, and Lisha couldn't help feeling grateful. She glanced at Hein's face. Yeah, he was definitely handsome. Suddenly, the sound of clashing steel echoed from outside. Enemies were attacking. Even though Hein was the crown prince, he still went out to fight personally. He locked Lisha inside the carriage to keep her safe, but she picked the lock with 2 hairpins within seconds. By the time she stepped out, Hein had already defeated everyone. He didn't kill them, just tied them up. Then one of the enemies collapsed, paralyzed. The blades had been coated with poison. Not fatal, but enough to slow everyone down. They were still 2 days away from the empire. The attackers clearly wanted to drag them to exhaustion, but Lisha stepped forward and said she could make an antidote. The herbs she collected were finally useful. Everyone hesitated. Lisha assumed they didn't trust her, so she tested the antidote on herself first. That was enough to convince them. Soon, everyone was treated. Hein walked over, curious about how she escaped the locked carriage, but he didn't ask. In one of her past lives, when she worked as a maid, her mistress often locked her inside rooms. Lisha always let herself out. Hein crouched beside her, thinking she was mysterious, and wanting to see what surprise she'd show him next. All of these knights were chosen by Hein himself. He knew their backgrounds and personalities like they were his brothers. Lisha remembered her past life, and she wondered, was the Hein in front of her really as sincere as he looked, or was he hiding something too?